Glass exploded across the pavement, the sound like a gunshot in the humid Miami night. I ducked behind a palm tree, heart hammering, as the neon sign above Club Pulse flickered and died. The crowd outside screamed, some running, others frozen, staring at the man who'd just hurled a bottle through the window. He was shouting, slurring words I couldn't make out, his face twisted with rage. My date, Lucas, grabbed my arm, his green eyes wide with panic. "No, we gotta go now." But I couldn't move, not yet. Something about the man's voice, his silhouette against the club's pulsing lights, felt familiar. Too familiar. I'm Noah Carter, a 32-year-old graphic designer who thought moving to Miami would be a fresh start. 6 months ago, I left Chicago's gray winters for palm trees and pastel sunsets, chasing a life where I could be myself, openly gay, no apologies. Miami's South Beach seemed perfect. Vibrant, diverse, a place where I could blend in and stand out all at once. I'd landed a job at a boutique ad agency, rented a tiny studio with an ocean view, and even started dating again. Lucas, a bartender with a killer smile and a habit of quoting old movies, was my latest attempt at something real. Tonight was supposed to be our third date, a night of dancing and maybe a moonlit walk on the beach. Instead, we were dodging glass and chaos. The man outside the club staggered forward, pointing at the crowd. "You think you could just flaunt it? In my city?" His voice cut through the humid air, thick with venom. Bouncers were already moving in, but my stomach twisted. I knew that voice. It was Caleb, my ex-boyfriend from Chicago, the one I'd left behind when his drinking and jealousy turned toxic. The one who'd sworn I'd regret leaving him. How the hell was he here, in Miami, outside the one club I'd chosen for my date? Lucas tugged at my sleeve. "Noah, seriously, let's bounce. This guy's unhinged." But I was rooted, watching Caleb shove a bouncer and get tackled to the ground. His eyes locked on mine for a split second, and I swear he recognized me. My pulse spiked. I hadn't told Lucas about Caleb, hadn't told anyone. That part of my life was supposed to stay buried. We slipped through the crowd, weaving past police sirens now flashing in the distance. Lucas led me down an alley, his hand warm in mine. "You okay? You look like you saw a ghost." His voice was soft, concerned, but I could barely focus. Caleb in Miami. Caleb at my club. It wasn't a coincidence. I'm fine, Ilid, forse no asmail. Just shaken up. Let's get out of here. We ended up at a 24-hour diner a few blocks away, the kind with sticky booze and neon signs that buzzed. Over greasy fries and 2 sweet milkshakes, Lucas tried to lighten the mood. "So, was that guy like a scorned lover or just Miami's resident nutcase?" He grinned, but his eyes searched mine, waiting for the truth. I sipped my shake, stalling. "Random drunk, probably. South Beach gets wild, right?" I hated lying, but how do you tell a guy you're falling for that your ex just crashed your date like a hurricane? Lucas didn't push, but I could tell he wasn't buying it. He leaned closer, his knee brushing mine under the table, and my skin tingled. "You sure you're okay, Noah? You can talk to me." I wanted to. God, I wanted to spill everything. Caleb's late-night calls after our breakup, the way he'd show up at my old apartment, the reason I'd fled Chicago without telling anyone where I was going. But Lucas's hand was on mine now, his thumb tracing circles, and all I could think was how I didn't want to ruin this. "Not yet. I'm good," I said, leaning in to kiss him. His lips were soft, tasting of vanilla and salt, and for a moment I forgot the shattered glass, the shouting, the past chasing me. The next morning, I woke to a text from an unknown number. "You can't hide forever, Noah. See you soon." My blood ran cold. I blocked the number, but my hand was shaking. I didn't need to guess who it was. Caleb had found me, and he wasn't here for closure. Work was a blur. My boss, Elena, noticed my distraction while I fumbled through a client pitch for a new beachwear campaign. "Noah, you're off today. Everything okay?" she asked, her dark eyes sharp but kind. I mumbled something about a bad night and promised to focus. But as I sketched logos and tweaked color palettes, my mind kept drifting to Caleb. Why now? Why here? And how had he tracked me down? That evening, I met Lucas at his apartment, a cozy place above a Cuban restaurant in Little Havana. The smell of roasted pork and plantains wafted through the open windows as we sprawled on his couch, a fan humming lazily. "You're quiet again," Lucas said, tossing a throw pillow at me. "Spill it, Carter. What's got you so spooked?" I took a deep breath. If I was going to do this, really do this with Lucas, I had to be honest. The guy last night, he's my ex Caleb. We broke up a year ago, and it was bad. I moved here to get away from him. Lucas's face softened, but there was a flicker of hurt in his eyes. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to drag you into my mess," I admitted. "He's intense, controlling. I thought he was out of my life." Lucas pulled me close, his arms strong around me. "You're not alone in this, Noah. If this guy's trouble, we'll handle it. Together." His voice was steady, and when he kissed me, it was fierce, like he was staking a claim. My body responded, heat pooling as I pressed against him, but my mind was still racing. Caleb wasn't the type to back off. The next day, I got a call from an old friend, Mia, who still lived in Chicago. "Noah, I don't know how to say this, but Caleb's been asking about you. He showed up at my place last week, drunk, saying he was going to fix things with you. I didn't tell him anything, but be careful, okay?" My stomach dropped. Mia's voice was tight with worry, and I knew she wasn't exaggerating. Caleb had crossed a line, and now he was 1,200 miles from Chicago, in my new city, my new life. That night, I walked to Club Pulse alone, needing to face the place where it all went down. The window was already repaired, the neon sign glowing again, but the memory of Caleb's voice lingered. As I stood there, a shadow moved in the alley across the street. My heart skipped. "Caleb," I called, my voice sharper than I meant. No answer, but the shadow vanished. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe not. When I got home, another text from a new number waited. "You look good tonight, Noah. Too bad you're still a liar." I stared at the screen, my breath shallow. This wasn't just a bad breakup anymore. This was a hunt. I called Lucas, my voice shaking as I told him about the texts. "I'm coming over," he said, no hesitation. 20 minutes later, he was at my door, his jaw tight, but his eyes soft. "We're not letting this guy ruin your life," he said, pulling me into a hug. "We'll figure it out." But as I leaned into him, feeling the warmth of his body against mine, I couldn't shake the fear. Caleb wasn't just my past. He was my present, and he was closing in. The Miami sunrise painted my apartment in shades of coral and gold, but I barely noticed. I hadn't slept. Lucas was sprawled on my couch, his dark hair tousled, one arm flung over his face. He'd stayed over after the latest text from Caleb, refusing to leave me alone. "No way I'm letting you deal with this creep solo," he'd said, his voice firm but his eyes soft. I wanted to lose myself in his presence. The way his t-shirt clung to his shoulders, the faint stubble on his jaw. But fear kept me wired. Caleb's texts weren't just threats. They were proof he was watching me. I poured coffee, the mug trembling in my hands. Lucas stirred, blinking awake. "Morning, gorgeous," he murmured, his voice husky. He sat up, stretching, and my pulse quickened despite everything. "Any more messages?" I shook my head. "Not yet, but he's out there." Lucas crossed the room in 2 strides, pulling me into a hug. His warmth grounded me, but only for a moment. "We need a plan, Noah." This guy's not playing. He was right. Caleb wasn't the type to send a few texts and vanish. Back in Chicago, he'd once slashed my tires after I missed one of his calls. Another time, he'd waited outside my office for 3 hours, claiming he just wanted to talk. I'd moved to Miami to escape his orbit, but now he was here, circling closer. I couldn't keep running. After Lucas left for his bartending shift, I headed to work, my mind a tangle of nerves. The ad agency was buzzing. Our beachwear campaign was launching soon, and Elena was in full boss mode. "Noah, I need those mock-ups by noon," she called as I slipped into my cubicle. I nodded, but my focus was shot. Every ping of my phone made me flinch, expecting another taunt from Caleb. By 11 a.m., I'd barely touched my sketches when my coworker, Javier, leaned over the partition. "You look rough, man." "Party too hard." Something like that, I muttered, forcing a grin. Javier was a flirt, always teasing me about my mysterious vibe. He was straight, but played it up for laughs, winking as he tossed me a stress ball. "Cheer up, Noah. You're too cute to mope." I rolled my eyes, but his banter was a welcome distraction until my phone buzzed with a new text from yet another number. "Nice office. Bet your coworkers don't know about Chicago." My stomach lurched. He knew where I worked. I bolted to the bathroom, splashing water on my face. The mirror showed a stranger, pale, eyes shadowed. How was Caleb doing this? Tracking my job, my nights out, my life? I hadn't told anyone at work about my past. Not even Javier, who'd become a friend. The idea of Caleb exposing me, spilling details of our toxic breakup, or worse, twisting the truth, made my chest tighten. I needed help, but who could I trust? That afternoon, I called Mia again. She picked up on the first ring. "Noah, thank God. I've been worried sick." Her voice was a lifeline, pulling me back to Chicago, where we'd spent nights bar hopping and laughing until dawn. "Mia, he's here. Caleb, he's texting me, following me. I don't know what to do." She cursed softly. I knew he was bad news. "Have you gone to the police?" I hesitated. "Not yet. I don't have proof, just texts from random numbers." Mia sighed. "You need to document everything. And Noah, there's something else." When Caleb came to my place, he mentioned a guy named Ethan. Said Ethan helped him find you. Ethan. The name hit like a brick. Ethan was Caleb's cousin, a tech whiz who'd always creeped me out. He'd once bragged about hacking into his ex's email for fun. If Ethan was involved, Caleb's stalking wasn't just personal, it was calculated. "Thanks, Mia." I set my voice tight. "I'll handle it." But as I hung up, I felt anything but in control. That evening, I met Lucas at a rooftop bar in Coconut Grove, far from South Beach and Club Pulse. The place was all fairy lights and sultry jazz, couples swaying under the stars. Lucas looked like he'd stepped out of a magazine, his white shirt unbuttoned just enough to show a hint of chest. "You clean up nice?" I said, trying to shake off my nerves. He grinned, pulling me close. "Only for you, Carter." His lips grazed my ear, sending a shiver down my spine, but I couldn't relax. Every shadow felt like Caleb, every glance a threat. We ordered mojitos, the mint sharp against the rum's warmth. "So," Lucas said, leaning back, "what's the next step?" "You can't keep jumping at your phone." I took a deep breath. Mia thinks Caleb's cousin Ethan is helping him. He's some tech guy, probably tracking me online. Lucas's jaw tightened. "That's next level messed up. We need to shut this down." He paused, his eyes searching mine. "Have you thought about confronting him?" "Not alone," he added quickly, "but with me or the cops." The idea of facing Caleb made my skin crawl. He wasn't just my ex. He was a storm, unpredictable and destructive. But hiding wasn't working either. "Maybe," I said. "But first, I need to know how he's finding me. If Ethan's hacking my accounts." I trailed off, the thought too big, too invasive. Lucas reached for my hand, his thumb brushing my knuckles. "We'll figure it out. I've got a buddy, Sam, who's a cybersecurity guy. He could check your phone, your laptop, see if anything's been compromised." Relief flooded me. "You do that?" Lucas smirked, his eyes glinting. "For you? I do a lot more." He leaned in, kissing me slow and deep, the bar fading away. For a moment, it was just us, his hands on my waist, my fingers in his hair, the heat between us electric. But as we pulled apart, my phone vibrated on the table. Another text. "Love the kiss. Tell your new boy to watch his back." I froze, my breath catching. Lucas grabbed the phone, his face darkening as he read. "This ends now," he growled. He stood, scanning the crowd, but no one stood out. The bar was packed, faces blurred in the dim light. "He's here," I whispered, my voice shaking. Lucas sat back down, his hand on my arm. "We've got eyes on us. Either way, we're not playing his game." We left the bar, taking a cab to Lucas's place instead of mine. He called Sam on the way, explaining the situation in clipped tones. "He'll meet us tomorrow," Lucas said as we pulled up to his apartment. Inside, he locked the door, double-checking the bolts. "You're staying here tonight," he said, not a question. I nodded, too rattled to argue. As we collapsed on his bed, Lucas pulled me close, his body a shield against the world. "I've got you. he murmured, his lips brushing my forehead. The air in Lucas's apartment was thick with the scent of coffee and tension. I sat on his kitchen counter, legs dangling, while Sam, his cybersecurity friend, hunched over my laptop like a surgeon. Sam was all sharp angles, buzz-cut hair, wireframe glasses, and a vibe that screamed, "I hack for fun." Lucas leaned against the fridge, arms crossed, his jaw tight. Last night's text from Caleb, "Love the kiss. Tell your new boy to watch his back," had lit a fire under us. Caleb wasn't just stalking me. He was taunting us, and I was done feeling like prey. "Found something," Sam said, his voice clipped. He turned the laptop toward me, revealing a string of code I couldn't decipher. "Your email's been compromised. Someone's been forwarding your messages to an encrypted server. Location data, calendar invites, the works." My stomach dropped. "Caleb," Sam shrugged. "Can't say for sure, but it's sophisticated. Whoever did this knows their stuff. I'm betting it's that cousin you mentioned, Ethan." Lucas cursed under his breath. "Can you stop it?" Sam nodded. "Already did. Change your passwords, set up two-factor authentication, and blocked the server. But if this guy's got other ways to track you," he trailed off, pushing his glasses up. "Check your phone next." I handed over my phone, my hands clammy. Lucas moved closer, his hand resting on my thigh, warm and steady. "We're gonna nail this bastard," he murmured. His touch sent a spark through me, but fear kept me grounded. Caleb had been in my digital life, reading my emails, knowing my plans. The rooftop bar, Club Pulse, my office. He wasn't guessing. He was following a map. Sam's frown deepened as he poked at my phone. "There's a tracking app buried in here. Not a standard one, custom job. It's been pinging your location every hour." My blood ran cold. "How long?" Sam checked the logs. "Since he got to Miami. 6 months." I felt sick. Caleb hadn't just found me. He'd been watching me rebuild my life, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Lucas's eyes blazed. "We're going to the cops. Now." But I hesitated. What if they don't take it seriously? It's just texts and an app. No physical proof he's done anything. Sam looked up. "You've got a paper trail, screenshots, logs. Plus, I can pull metadata from the server. It's enough to start a case." Lucas squeezed my hand. "Noah, this guy's escalating. We can't wait for him to show up at your door." They were right, but the thought of facing Caleb, even through a police report, made my chest tight. He'd always had a way of twisting things, making me feel like the crazy one. Back in Chicago, he convinced our mutual friends I was overreacting when I called out his jealousy. Now he was here, and I was terrified he'd charm his way out of this too. We headed to the Miami-Dade Police Department that afternoon, a concrete fortress in the heart of downtown. The officer, a no-nonsense woman named Detective Alvarez, listened as I laid out the story, Caleb's history, the texts, the tracking app. Lucas sat beside me, his knee brushing mine, a quiet anchor. Sam had printed out the server logs, which Alvarez skimmed with a frown. "This is solid," she said. "We can open a case for cyberstalking, but without a direct threat of violence, it's tricky to get a restraining order. Do you know where he's staying?" I shook my head. "He's like a ghost. Shows up, then vanishes." She nodded. "Keep documenting everything. If he contacts you again, call me." She slid her card across the desk, and I pocketed it, feeling both relieved and exposed. Outside, the Miami heat hit like a wall. Lucas pulled me into a quick hug, his lips grazing my temple. "You did good, Noah. Step one's done." I wanted to believe him, but Caleb's shadow loomed larger than ever. As we walked to Lucas's car, my phone buzzed. Not a text, but an email from an unknown address. The subject line, "You think the police scare me?" My heart stopped. I showed Lucas, who cursed again. Forward it to Alvarez. "Now." I did, my fingers shaking, but the email felt like a dare. Caleb wasn't backing down. That night, Lucas insisted we switch things up. "No more hiding," he said, tossing me a black button-up from his closet. "We're going out. Somewhere new, somewhere he won't expect." I raised an eyebrow. "You sure that's smart?" He grinned, stepping close, his hands on my hips. "I'm sure I'm not letting him ruin our vibe. Besides, you in this shirt? Freaking lethal." His voice was low, teasing, and when he kissed me, It was all heat and promise. I melted into him, the fear loosening its grip for the first time in days. We ended up at a salsa club in Wynwood, a place pulsing with life, bright murals on the walls, live percussion, bodies moving in sync. Lucas pulled me onto the dance floor, his hands guiding my waist. "Relax, Carter. Feel the rhythm." I laughed, clumsy at first, but his confidence was infectious. Our bodies pressed close, sweat and cologne mixing, his breath hot against my neck. For a moment, it was just us. No Caleb, no threats, just the music and the way Lucas's eyes locked on mine like I was the only person in the room. But paradise never lasts. Halfway through the night, I stepped outside for air, the humid breeze cooling my skin. Lucas was still inside, grabbing drinks. That's when I saw him. Caleb, across the street, leaning against a lamppost. His dark hair was longer, his frame leaner, but those cold blue eyes were unmistakable. He didn't move, just stared, a smirk curling his lips. My pulse raced. I reached for my phone to call Lucas, but before I could, Caleb raised a hand, waving mockingly, then slipped into an alley. I froze, torn between chasing him and running back inside. Chasing was stupid. He wanted me to react, but I needed proof. I snapped a quick photo of the alley, time-stamped, and texted it to Alvarez with a note. "He's here. Wynwood. Just saw him." Then I bolted back into the club, my heart pounding. Lucas was at the bar, 2 mojitos in hand. "Noah, what's wrong?" I grabbed his arm, voice low. "Caleb. Outside. He's gone now, but he saw me." Lucas's face hardened. "Did he do anything?" I shook my head. Just stared, like he's toying with me. We left the club, taking a cab to my place this time. Lucas was quiet, his hand tight around mine. "We need to up our game," he said as we stepped into my apartment. "Security cameras, maybe a PI. Sam can hook us up." I nodded, but the weight of it all was crushing. Caleb wasn't just stalking me. He was unraveling my life, piece by piece. And now Lucas was in his crosshairs too. The next morning, I woke to a knock at my door. Lucas was still asleep, sprawled across my bed, sheets tangled around his waist. I threw on a t-shirt and peered through the peephole. A delivery guy stood there, holding a small package. "Noah Carter?" he asked when I opened the door. I nodded, confused. "Didn't order anything." He shrugged. "It's paid for. Sign here." The package was plain, no return address. I tore it open, and my breath caught a photo of me and Lucas dancing at the salsa club, printed in crisp detail. On the back, in Sharpie, "You move, I move." I dropped the photo, my hands shaking. Lucas stirred, sitting up. "Noah, what's that?" I couldn't speak, just hand him the picture. His face went pale, then red with anger. "This ends today," he said, grabbing his phone. "I'm calling Sam and Alvarez. We're not waiting for him to make the next move." As Lucas made calls, I stared at the photo, my mind racing. Caleb wasn't just watching. He was documenting, building something. But what? Revenge? Control? Or something worse? I thought of Ethan, the tech genius pulling strings behind the scenes. This wasn't just a scorned ex. This was a team, and I was their target. But I wasn't alone anymore. Lucas was with me. Sam was on our side, and Alvarez was building a case. Caleb wanted to break me, but I was done bending. The photo of Lucas and me dancing at the salsa club sat on my kitchen table like a bomb waiting to detonate. Caleb's sharpest scrawled message, "You move, I move," burned into my brain. Lucas was on the phone with Detective Alvarez, his voice low and urgent, while I stared out my apartment window at the Miami skyline. The city's glitter felt mocking now, a facade hiding the predator circling my life. I'd thought Caleb was the storm, but the photo proved he wasn't alone. Someone had been close enough to snap that picture, and I was starting to wonder who else I couldn't trust. Lucas hung up, his face grim. "Alvarez is sending a patrol to check the area around the club. She wants the photo and the package for evidence. Sam's coming over to set up cameras here and at my place." He crossed the room, pulling me into his arms. His cologne, a mix of cedar and citrus, grounded me, but my mind was spinning. "Noah, we're gonna get him. Both of them." His lips brushed my ear, and I shivered, wanting to lose myself in him, but the weight of Caleb's game kept me tethered to fear. "Ethan," I said, my voice hoarse. He's the one taking the pictures, isn't he? Or worse? Lucas nodded, his jaw tight. Probably. Sam's digging into his digital footprint. If Ethan's the tech behind this, he's left a trail. I pulled back, meeting his eyes. What if it's not just them? What if someone else is helping? The thought had been gnawing at me since the delivery. Caleb was bold, but he wasn't subtle. This level of coordination, tracking apps, encrypted servers, candid photos, felt like a network, not a lone ex with a grudge. Before Lucas could answer, my phone buzzed. Not a text this time, but a call from Javier, my coworker. I hesitated, then picked up. Noah, you okay, man? His voice was rushed, laced with worry. I heard about some drama at Pulse. You were there, right? My stomach twisted. I hadn't told anyone at work about Caleb or the club incident. Who told you? I asked, keeping my tone neutral. Javier laughed, but sounded forced. Word gets around. South Beach is small, you know? Just checking in. Something fell off, but I couldn't pin it down. I'm fine, I said. Thanks for the call. I hung up, my unease growing. Lucas raised an eyebrow. What was that about? I shook my head. Javier. He knew about Pulse. I never mentioned it. Lucas's eyes narrowed. You think he's involved? I didn't want to believe it. Javier was a friend, always quick with a joke or a coffee run. But his call, coming right after the photo, set my nerves on edge. I don't know, I admitted, but I'm done assuming anyone's safe. Sam arrived an hour later, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He looked like he hadn't slept, his glasses smudged, but his energy was electric. Got cameras, motion sensors, the works, he said, unpacking gear. And I found something on Ethan. Guy's been posting on dark web forums, bragging about tracking projects. No names, but the timeline matches your move to Miami. My blood ran cold. Can you prove it's him? Sam grinned, a rare flash of teeth. Give me a day. I'm close. As Sam wired my apartment, Lucas and I headed to the police station to drop off the photo and package. Alvarez met us in a cramped office, her desk buried under files. She examined the evidence, her expression unreadable. This is good, she said. The handwriting's a lead, and the package might have prints. But Noah, I need you to be straight with me. Is there anyone else who might be feeding Caleb information? Friends, co-workers, anyone acting strange? I thought of Javier's call. The way his laugh didn't reach his eyes. Maybe, I said. My co-worker Javier. He knew about the club, but I don't know how. Alvarez jotted a note. We'll look into him. For now, stay vigilant. And don't confront anyone yourself. Back at my place, Sam was finishing up, showing me how to access the camera feeds on my phone. If anyone steps foot in here, you'll know, he said. Lucas clapped him on the shoulder. You're a lifesaver, man. Sam shrugged, but his eyes lingered on me. Just don't do anything stupid, Noah. This guy's playing for keeps. I nodded, but the warning felt hollow. Caleb wasn't just playing, he was winning. That night, Lucas convinced me to get out of the apartment again. We're not letting him cage you, he said, tossing me a leather jacket. There's a drag show at Palace on Ocean Drive. Packed public safe. I hesitated, but the idea of normalcy was tempting. Plus, Lucas in a tight black tee, his hair swept back, was a distraction I couldn't resist. Fine, I said, grinning despite myself. But you're buying the drinks. Palace was a riot of color and sound. Sequin queens strutting on stage, the crowd cheering, glitter in the air. Lucas pulled me through the throng, his hand firm in mine, until we found a spot near the bar. The energy was infectious, and for the first time in days, I felt my shoulders loosen. Lucas leaned in, his breath warm against my cheek. Told you this be fun. He kissed me, quick but deep, and the crowd's whoops faded to a hum. My hands found his waist, pulling him closer, the heat between us sparking like a live wire. Then I saw her, a woman in the crowd, watching us. She was striking, with sharp cheekbones and a red dress that hugged her curves, but her stare was cold, calculating. I froze, my lips still on Lucas's. What's wrong? He asked, following my gaze. The woman turned away, melting into the crowd, but my gut screamed trouble. She was watching us, I said, not like a fan, like she knew me. Lucas scanned the room, his body tense. You sure? I nodded, my buzz gone. Let's get out of here. We slipped out a side exit, the night air heavy with salt and heat. As we walked to Lucas's car, my phone buzzed. An Instagram DM from an account I didn't recognize. The message was a single photo, me and Lucas at Palace, taken minutes ago. No caption, just the image, my face clear as day. I showed Lucas, my heart pounding. He's here, or someone is. Lucas grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the car. We're not sticking around to find out. Back at his place, we called Alvarez, forwarding the DM. She promised to trace the account, but her voice was strained. Noah, I'm going to be honest. This level of surveillance, it's coordinated. Caleb's got help, and they're good. Stay with Lucas, keep your cameras on, and don't go anywhere alone. I hung up, feeling like the walls were closing in. Lucas pulled me onto the couch, his arms around me. We're stronger than him, he said, his voice fierce. You hear me? I nodded, but doubt gnawed at me. Caleb wasn't just a ghost anymore. He was a machine, and I was running out of places to hide. The next morning, I went to work, determined to act normal. But Javier was waiting at my desk, his usual grin absent. Noah, we need to talk, he said, his voice low. Outside. My pulse spiked. Was he involved? Had he been the one snapping photos? I followed him to the office courtyard, my hand on my phone, ready to call Lucas if things went south. Javier lit a cigarette, his eyes darting. I owe you an apology, he said. I wasn't honest on the phone. My heart sank. What do you mean? He exhaled, smoke curling in the air. I know Caleb, from Chicago. He reached out a few weeks ago, asking about you. Said you were old friends. I didn't think much of it, gave him your work address. I didn't know he was like this. His voice cracked, and I saw guilt in his eyes. But guilt didn't erase betrayal. You gave him my address? I snapped, my voice rising. Do you have any idea what he's doing to me? Javier flinched. I'm sorry, Noah. I thought he was legit. I didn't know. I wanted to scream, to shove him, but I turned away, my hands shaking. Javier wasn't the mastermind, but he'd opened the door. Stay away from me, I said, walking back inside. As I sat at my desk, my phone buzzed. A text from a new number. Trust is a funny thing, isn't it? I stared at the screen, my blood ice. Caleb knew about Javier. He knew everything. And now I was alone in a city that felt like a trap. The Miami sun was relentless, baking the pavement outside my office as I sat at my desk, staring at Caleb's latest text. Trust is a funny thing, isn't it? My fingers hovered over the screen, itching to respond, to scream into the void, but I knew better. Every word I sent would be ammunition. Javier's confession yesterday, that he'd given Caleb my work address, had shattered any illusion of safety. My co-worker, my friend, had been a pawn in Caleb's game, and now I was questioning everyone. Lucas, Sam, even Detective Alvarez. Could I trust anyone when Caleb seemed to know my every move? I forwarded the text to Alvarez, my hands trembling. She'd been building a case, but Caleb was a shadow, slipping through cracks. The photo from Palace, the tracking app, the package with my dance floor moment, all pointed to a network, not just Caleb and Ethan. Someone was feeding him information, someone closer than I wanted to admit. As I tried to focus on a client's logo design, my phone buzzed again, not a text, but a calendar invite. Masquerade Ball, Eden Rock Hotel, 8 p.m. tonight. Come alone, Noah. Let's talk. The sender's name was blank, but I didn't need a signature to know it was Caleb. My heart pounded. A public event, a chance to face him, but on his terms? It screamed trap. I called Lucas, who was at the bar prepping for his shift. He wants me at a masquerade ball tonight, I said, my voice low so my co-workers wouldn't hear. Eden Roach says to come alone. Lucas's response was immediate. Hell no, you're not going. It's a setup. I paced my cubicle, glancing at Javier's empty desk. He'd called in sick today, probably avoiding me. I know it's risky, but what if I go with Alvarez? Get him on record, catch him in the act. Lucas sighed, frustration crackling through the line. Noah, this guy's not playing checkers. He's got moves we don't see. Let me talk to Sam, figure out a plan. By noon, Sam was at my apartment, his laptop open, digging into the calendar invite. It's routed through a VPN, Untraceable, he said, chewing a protein bar. But the Eden Rock's legit. Big charity ball tonight. Mask required. Perfect place to blend in. Lucas, who'd taken the afternoon off, leaned against my counter, his arms crossed. If you're dead set on this, we're not letting you go alone. Alvarez can wire you. I'll be nearby, and Sam can monitor the exits. I nodded, my stomach churning. The idea of facing Caleb made my skin crawl, but hiding wasn't working. I needed to end this. Alvarez met us at the station, her expression grim. I don't love this, Noah, she said, taping a tiny mic under my shirt. But if he shows, we'll be ready. My team will be in plain clothes, blending with the crowd. Signal us if anything feels off. Tug your left ear. She handed me a sleek black mask, its edges lined with silver filigree. Stay sharp. He's counting on you being emotional. Lucas squeezed my hand, his eyes fierce. I'll be right outside. You got this. His voice was steady, but the way his fingers lingered on mine said he was as scared as I was. The Eden Rock Hotel glowed like a jewel against the Miami night, its Art Deco facade lit up in turquoise and gold. Inside, the ballroom was a sea of masked faces, feathers, sequins, and velvet swirling under chandeliers. My mask felt like a shield, but also a cage, hiding me while exposing me to Caleb's gaze. The mic under my shirt itched, a reminder of Alvarez's team watching. I scanned the crowd, my pulse racing. Men in tuxes, women in gowns, all anonymous. Was Caleb the tall guy by the bar? The one whispering to a server? Every shadow felt like him. A hand grazed my arm, and I spun, heart in my throat. A woman in a red mask smiled, her lips glossy. Noah Carter? She asked, her voice smooth, familiar. My breath caught. She was the woman from Palace, the one who'd stared at me and Lucas. Who are you? I demanded, my hand inching toward my ear. She laughed, low and throaty. Relax, darling. I'm Vanessa, a friend of a friend. Caleb sent me to make sure you showed. My blood ran cold. Where is he? Vanessa tilted her head, her mask glinting. Around. He wants to talk, but first, dance with me. Keep up appearances. She held out a hand, and I hesitated. Alvarez's voice crackled in my earpiece. Stay calm, Noah. Engage, but don't follow her anywhere. I took Vanessa's hand, her grip firm as she led me to the dance floor. The band played a sultry tango, and she pulled me close, her body moving with practiced ease. You're tense, she purred, her breath hot against my cheek. Caleb said you were always so intense. My skin prickled. What does he want? She smirked, her eyes unreadable behind a mask. Closure. Or maybe something else. He's complicated, isn't he? Her fingers trailed down my back, and I fought the urge to pull away. She was bait, but for what? The song ended, and Vanessa leaned in, whispering, he's by the balcony. Don't make a scene. She slipped into the crowd, leaving me reeling. Alvarez's voice buzzed. We've got eyes on a woman in red exiting the ballroom. Head to the balcony, but slowly. I wove through the crowd, my mask itching, my heart hammering. The balcony doors were open, the ocean breeze carrying the scent of salt and jasmine. A figure stood at the railing, masked, his back to me. Caleb. Noah, he said without turning, his voice like a blade. You came. I stopped a few feet away, my hands clenched. What do you want, Caleb? He turned, his mask black with gold accents, his eyes cold through the slits. You left me, Noah. Ran away like I was nothing. Now you're here, playing house with that bartender. You think you get to move on? His voice was calm, but the edge was there, sharp and dangerous. I tugged my left ear, signaling Alvarez. You're stalking me, I said, keeping my voice steady. Tracking my phone, sending photos. It's over, Caleb. Let it go. He laughed, stepping closer. Over? You don't get to decide that. You owe me. His hand shot out, grabbing my wrist, and I yanked back, my pulse spiking. Don't touch me, I snapped. Alvarez's voice crackled. We're moving in. Stall him. But before I could speak, a scream cut through the air from inside the ballroom. The crowd surged, voices shouting about a fight. Caleb's eyes flicked toward the chaos, and he smirked. Perfect timing, he said, then bolted, shoving past me toward a side exit. I chased him, adrenaline pumping, ignoring Alvarez's shouts in my ear. The exit led to a stairwell, and I heard his footsteps below. "Caleb!" I yelled, my voice echoing. At the bottom, I burst into an alley, but he was gone. My chest heaved, frustration and fear colliding. Alvarez and her team spilled out seconds later, guns drawn. "Where'd he go?" she demanded. I shook my head, breathless. "Vanished. Like always." She cursed, radioing her team to sweep the area. Lucas found me in the alley, his face pale. "Noah, what the hell? You were supposed to stay put." He pulled me into a hug, his hands shaking. "I'm fine," I said, but I wasn't. Caleb had slipped away, and the scream in the ballroom wasn't a coincidence. He'd planned it, orchestrated the chaos to escape. And Vanessa, who was she? Another pawn, or something more? Back at Lucas's place, Sam was waiting, his laptop glowing. "Got something," he said, barely looking up. "That woman, Vanessa?" Her real name's Vanessa Torres. She's Ethan's sister, and she's got a rap sheet, fraud, identity theft. They're a family affair. My stomach dropped. Caleb, Ethan, and now Vanessa, a trio tearing my life apart. Lucas's hand found mine, his grip tight. "We're not backing down," he said. "But Noah, you need to tell Alvarez about Javier. If he's still talking to Caleb, he's a loose end." I nodded, but the weight of betrayal was crushing. Javier, Vanessa, Caleb. My past and present were colliding, and I was caught in the wreckage. As Lucas pulled me close, his lips soft against my neck, I clung to him, desperate for an anchor. But Caleb's words echoed. "You owe me." Whatever he thought I owed, he was coming to collect, and I was running out of time. The Miami dawn crept through Lucas's blinds, casting stripes of light across his bedroom. I lay beside him, his arm draped over my chest, his steady breathing a contrast to the chaos in my head. Last night's masquerade ball at the Eden Rock had been a disaster. Caleb slipping through my fingers, Vanessa's cryptic roll, the scream that turned the ballroom into a stampede. My mic had caught his words, "You owe me." They looped in my mind, a taunt I couldn't shake. Whatever Caleb thought I owed, it wasn't love or closure. It was vengeance, and he was closing in. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake Lucas. His face was soft in sleep, lips parted, and for a moment, I wanted to climb back in, lose myself in his warmth. But fear drove me to my phone. I checked the camera feed Sam had installed. Nothing unusual in my apartment or here. Then I opened my email, half expecting another taunt. Instead, I found a message from an unknown sender. Subject line, "Look closer." Attached was a grainy photo of Javier, my traitorous co-worker, talking to Vanessa outside a South Beach cafe. The timestamp was 2 days ago. My heart sank. Javier wasn't just a pawn. He was still in play. I called Detective Alvarez, my voice low as I paced Lucas's kitchen. "Javier's working with Vanessa," I said, forwarding the photo. "They met recently. He lied about cutting contact with Caleb." Alvarez's tone was sharp. "We'll bring him in for questioning. Noah, you need to stay put today. No work, no clubs. My team's tracking Vanessa's known addresses, and we're closing in on Ethan's server." I agreed, but staying put felt like surrender. Caleb was out there orchestrating his endgame, and I was tired of being his target. Lucas stirred, padding into the kitchen in nothing but boxer briefs, his hair a mess. "Morning, trouble," he teased, but his smile faded when he saw my face. "What now?" I showed him the photo, and his jaw tightened. "Javier's dead to me," he growled. "What's his deal? Money? Revenge?" I shook my head. "I don't know. He said he thought Caleb was just a friend, but he's deeper in than he admitted." Lucas pulled me close, his hands firm on my hips. "We're ending this, Noah. Today. Sam's got a lead on Ethan, and Alvarez is on Javier. Caleb's running out of allies." His lips grazed mine, a spark of heat cutting through my fear, but I pulled back. "I can't lose you, Lucas. If Caleb hurts you because of me," he kissed me again, fierce and deep. "Not happening. We're tougher than him." Sam arrived an hour later, his energy wired, like he'd mainlined espresso. "Ethan's sloppy," he said, setting up his laptop. "He's using a burner phone to route texts. but I traced the signal to a warehouse in Hialeah, active as of last night. My pulse spiked. Caleb's there. Sam shrugged. Maybe. Or Vanessa. Point is, we've got location. Lucas leaned forward. We tell Alvarez, raid the place. But Sam hesitated. It's a lead, not a guarantee. If we tip them off, they'll bolt. I felt a surge of resolve. Then we scope it out first. Me and Lucas, before Alvarez moves in. Sam frowned. Bad idea. You're not cops. But Lucas backed me. We're not storming in, just watching. If Caleb's there, we confirm it. Alvarez wasn't thrilled, but she agreed to a compromise. Lucas and I could drive by the warehouse. Eyes only, with her team on standby. No heroics, she warned. You see anything, you call me. We nodded, but the adrenaline in my veins said otherwise. This wasn't just about catching Caleb. It was about taking back my life. The Hialeah warehouse was a hulking relic, its windows boarded, graffiti snaking up the walls. Lucas parked his car a block away, the midday heat shimmering off the asphalt. We wore baseball caps and sunglasses, trying to blend in, but my heart was a drumbeat. Stay low, Lucas whispered, his hand on my knee. We watched the warehouse, its loading dock empty except for a rusted van. Then a figure stepped out. Vanessa, her red hair unmistakable, talking on a phone. My breath caught. That's her, I said, snapping a photo. Lucas texted Alvarez. Vanessa cited. Warehouse confirmed. Before Alvarez could respond, another figure emerged, Javier. He was agitated, gesturing wildly as Vanessa shook her head. My stomach twisted. He's here, I whispered. Lucas's eyes narrowed. What's his angle? Why is he still with her? I didn't know, but seeing Javier with Vanessa, after his tearful apology, was a gut punch. He wasn't just a mistake, he was a traitor. We were about to pull back when a third figure appeared, Caleb. His dark hair was pulled back, his frame leaner than I remembered, but those cold eyes were the same. He grabbed Javier's arm, shoving him toward the van. Vanessa followed, her expression unreadable. I fumbled for my phone, recording a shaky video as Alvarez's reply buzzed. Stay put. Team's en route. But Caleb's head snapped up like he'd sensed us. His eyes locked on our car, and my blood froze. Lucas, he sees us, I hissed. Lucas cursed, starting the engine. Hold on. We peeled out, tires screeching, but the van roared after us. Caleb was driving, his face a mask of rage through the windshield. Lucas weaved through Hialeah's industrial streets, the van gaining. Call Alvarez, he shouted. I dialed, my voice shaking as I reported the chase. He's following us, blue van, Hialeah near 27th. Alvarez's response was calm but urgent. We're 5 minutes out. Keep moving, stay on main roads. My heart pounded as Lucas swerved, the van clipping our bumper. Caleb wasn't just chasing, he was hunting. Lucas took a sharp turn onto a busy highway, weaving through traffic. The van fell back, but Caleb's eyes stayed burned in my mind. He's not stopping, I said, my voice breaking. Lucas grabbed my hand, his grip fierce. Neither are we. Sirens wailed in the distance, and the van suddenly veered off, disappearing down a side street. My chest heaved, relief and terror colliding. Alvarez called back. We lost him, but we've got the warehouse surrounded. Vanessa and Javier are in custody. Stay where you are. We're coming to you. We pulled into a gas station, my hands trembling as Lucas pulled me into a hug. You're okay, he murmured, his lips against my hair. But I wasn't. Caleb was still out there, and the chase had felt personal, like a promise of worse to come. When Alvarez arrived, her face was grim. Javier's talking, she said. Says Caleb paid him to keep tabs on you, but he claims he didn't know about the stalking. Vanessa's clammed up, but we're digging into her finances. Ethan's still a ghost, but we're close. Back at Lucas's place, Sam was waiting, his laptop glowing. I hacked Vanessa's cloud drive, he said, grinning. Found a folder labeled Noah. Photos, emails, even a map of your routines. Caleb's been planning this for months. My stomach churned. Why me? Why now? Sam hesitated. There's more. Vanessa's emails mention a deal. Caleb's not just after you. He's using you to get to someone else. Any idea who? I shook my head, but a name flickered. Lucas. Was this about jealousy or something bigger? That night, Lucas and I sat on his balcony, the Miami skyline glittering below. He pulled me close, his hands warm on my waist. "We're so close, Noah," he said, his voice low. "Caleb's slipping. He's desperate." I nodded, but doubt gnawed at me. Caleb wasn't desperate. He was calculated, and the deal Sam mentioned felt like a missing piece. As Lucas kissed me, slow and deep, I clung to him, the heat between us a lifeline. But Caleb's words echoed. "You owe me." Whatever he wanted wasn't just my fear, it was my future, and I was running out of moves. The Miami night was alive with stars, but I felt like I was drowning. Lucas's balcony, where we'd shared kisses and promises, now felt like a perch on the edge of a cliff. Caleb was still out there, a phantom who'd evaded Alvarez's team after the Hialeah chase. Vanessa and Javier were in custody, spilling fragments of Caleb's plan, but Ethan remained a ghost, and Sam's discovery of a deal haunted me. Caleb wasn't just after me. He was using me to get to someone else, and my gut screamed it was Lucas. As I leaned against the railing, Lucas joined me, his hand warm on my lower back. "You're thinking too loud, Noah," he said, his voice soft but edged with worry. I turned, meeting his green eyes, and felt a pang. If Caleb hurt him because of me, I'd never forgive myself. "I can't let him win," I said, my voice cracking. "But I don't know what he wants." Lucas pulled me close, his lips brushing my forehead. "He wants to break you, but you're stronger than he knows." His touch was electric, grounding me in the chaos, but fear clawed at me. Caleb's taunts, "You owe me," weren't about love or jealousy. They were about power, and I was done being his pawn. The next morning, Alvarez called with news. "Javier's cooperating fully," she said. "He says Caleb was blackmailing him, threatened to expose some old gambling debts to his family. Javier fed him your schedule, but he swears he didn't know about the photos or tracking." I gripped the phone, anger flaring. "And Vanessa?" Alvarez sighed. "She's tougher. Admits she's Ethan's sister, but claims she was just a messenger. Says Caleb's obsessed with settling a score involving you and someone named Michael." My heart stopped. Michael was Lucas's real name. He used Lucas as a stage name for bartending, a quirk I'd found charming. "Lucas," I whispered. "Caleb's after Lucas." I told Alvarez everything, my voice shaking. Lucas never mentioned knowing Caleb. Why would he be a target? Alvarez's tone was grim. "We'll dig into it. For now, keep Lucas close. We're tracking a lead on Ethan's burner phone. Might have a location by tonight." I hung up, my mind racing. Lucas was in the shower, the sound of water a faint hum. I needed answers, but confronting him felt like betraying the one person who'd stood by me. When Lucas emerged, towel around his waist, water dripping down his chest, I almost lost my nerve. "Michael," I said, using his real name. His eyes widened, and he froze. "Why'd you call me that?" I took a deep breath. "Alvarez says Caleb's after you. He's got a score to settle. And your name, Michael, came up. What aren't you telling me?" Lucas's face paled, and he sat on the couch, running a hand through his wet hair. "Noah, I didn't want to drag you into this. Caleb and I, we have history." My stomach dropped. "What kind of history?" Lucas looked away, his jaw tight. "Back in Chicago, before I moved here, I dated Caleb's brother, Ryan. It ended badly. Ryan was into some shady stuff, gambling, drugs. I left him, and Caleb blamed me for Ryan's spiral. Said I ruined his family. When I met you, I had no idea you were connected to him. I stared, the pieces clicking. Caleb's vendetta wasn't just about me. It was about Lucas, the man who'd stolen his brother and now, in his twisted mind, stolen me. Why didn't you tell me?" I demanded, hurt cutting through me. Lucas met my eyes, his voice raw. "I was scared you'd run. You're the best thing in my life, Noah. I couldn't lose you." I wanted to be angry, but his honesty disarmed me. I crossed the room, sitting beside him, our knees touching. "Caleb's using me to get to you," I said. "We're both his targets." Lucas took my hand, his grip fierce. "Then we face him together. No more secrets. His lips found mine, the kiss desperate, hungry, like we were sealing a pact. My hands slid up his back, the heat of his skin grounding me, but the clock was ticking. Caleb was coming, and we had to be ready. Sam called that afternoon, his voice electric. Got Ethan. His burner pinged at a motel in Little Havana. Alvarez is moving in, but there's more. Caleb's been wiring money to a PI. He's been digging into Lucas's past, building a dossier. My blood ran cold. What kind of dossier? Sam hesitated. Old arrests, family records, anything to ruin him. Caleb's not just stalking. He's planning to destroy you both. I told Lucas, whose face hardened. Let him try. I'm done hiding. Alvarez's team raided the motel that evening, nabbing Ethan and his laptop. He cracked under pressure, admitting he'd built Caleb's tracking system and coordinated with Vanessa. Caleb's unhinged, Ethan told Alvarez, according to her update. He's got a plan to confront Noah and Michael tonight. Some abandoned pier in Key Biscayne. Says it's poetic justice. My heart raced. The pier, isolated, dark, the perfect stage for Caleb's finale. Alvarez wanted us to stay put, but I knew Caleb. He'd vanish again unless we drew him out. We go to the pier. I told Lucas, my voice steady despite the fear. Set a trap with Alvarez. End this tonight. Lucas nodded, his eyes fierce. I'm with you. We met Alvarez at a staging area near Key Biscayne, her team prepping with quiet efficiency. She wired us both, her expression stern. You're bait, not heroes. Draw him out. Let us handle the rest. Lucas squeezed my hand, his thumb tracing circles, and I felt a surge of resolve. Caleb had taken enough. My peace, my trust, my past. He wouldn't take my future. The pier was a skeleton against the moonlit sky, waves crashing below. Lucas and I walked hand in hand, our mics hidden, Alvarez's team in the shadows. The air was thick with salt and tension. Caleb, I shouted, my voice echoing. I'm here. Let's talk. Silence, then footsteps. Caleb emerged from the darkness. No mask this time. His face gaunt, but his eyes burning. Noah, he said, his voice low. And Michael. How sweet. He held a phone, recording us, a sick smile curling his lips. This is for Ryan, he said. You both ruined him, and now I ruin you. Lucas stepped forward, his voice calm. Ryan made his choices, Caleb. You can't rewrite the past. Caleb laughed, bitter and sharp. You think this is about the past? It's about justice. Noah runs, you hide, but I see you. He pulled a USB drive from his pocket, waving it. Your secrets, Michael's arrests, Noah's debts in Chicago. One click, and it's online for the world. My heart pounded, but I saw Alvarez's team moving in, silent as ghosts. You're done, Caleb, I said, stepping closer. Vanessa's talking, Ethan's in cuffs. It's over. Caleb's smile faltered, and in that moment, Alvarez's team rushed him. He swung wildly, but they pinned him, the USB clattering to the pier. Lucas pulled me back, his arms a shield as Caleb screamed, his voice raw with rage. You'll pay, Noah. You'll always pay. But as they cuffed him, his words lost their venom. He was just a man, broken and small, not the monster I'd feared. Back at the station, Alvarez debriefed us. Caleb was charged with cyberstalking, harassment, and extortion, with more charges pending from Ethan's data. The USB held dirt, old speeding tickets for Lucas, my student loans, but nothing damning. Vanessa and Javier faced their own charges, their roles in Caleb's scheme unraveling. As we left, Lucas pulled me into a hug, his lips soft against mine. We did it, he whispered. I nodded, but the weight of the last months lingered. At home, I stood by my window, Miami's lights a quiet promise. I thought of Caleb's obsession, Javier's betrayal, Lucas's secrets. I come to Miami to start over, but I'd learned you can't outrun your past. You have to face it. Caleb had wanted to break me, but he'd made me stronger. Lucas had stood by me, flaws and all, and together we'd turned fear into fight. I learned to trust again, not just others but myself. My reflection stared back, no longer strangers. I was Noah Carter, and I was enough. If you were in my shoes, What would you have done? Face Caleb head on or run again? Shared your secrets or kept them buried? I don't know if there's a right answer, but I know this. Sometimes the only way out is through. If this story of facing demons and finding strength resonates with you, please share it. Together, we can remind the world that no one's past defines their future.